Hello and welcome back to the series of me reviewing the Grim Hollow Player's Guide that recently released. So far we have done, I believe, 26 of the 40 subclasses, including also the Monster Hunter class base in part 1. There's still 14 to go and we're going to finish those off today, which is an exciting time for all of us, I'm sure. Strap in. Let's go ahead and get to it, shall we? So we're doing 2 Monster Hunter subclasses today, because there are 2 left, and otherwise I'd have to do a whole video of just Monster Hunter subclass, and I'm not doing that. I'm just not doing that. You can't make me. Nobody would watch it. I know that for a fact. So, let's kick off with the Carver Guild. Since the beginning of time, the brave glared into danger's ferocious eyes and fought monsters. Those who survived were the ones smart enough to arm themselves properly and know precisely where to strike, or those who knew when to flee and return with a new plan. Members of the Carver Guild are monster hunters, typically called upon when danger threatens a settlement and there is no army or militia available. Carvers stride unflinchingly towards death, armed with years of training and the knowledge passed down from those before them. The first thing you get is nice and simple. I just love a simple subclass feature. I don't think I do as much when I'm playing, but when I'm reviewing these, just having like 6 words, it's just, well. So, equipped for battle, you gain training with heavy armor. So this is the tank, which we love. This is actually the close range one, and I really like it. I've read through it, obviously. Level 3 is close quarters also. Your skill in close combat enables you to inflict crushing blows while keeping your opponent off balance. When you hit a creature with an attack roll using a melee weapon, you can take a reaction to deal an extra 2d6 damage of the same damage type dealt by the weapon. The creature has disadvantage on its next attack roll before you start your turn, and this damage increases to 4d6 when you reach Monster Hunter 11. It's worth noting that you do get your, I believe it's called Studied Attack, which is also a reaction attack, or is also a reaction. So this is kind of competing. It's nice to do an extra 2d6 if you hit, and obviously you can do this as you hit. Plus, I believe, because it deals the same type of damage dealt by the weapon, that's technically weapon damage, which would double on a crit. That's how I would rule it. And the disadvantage is obviously a pretty big deal too. So it's nice. I think the heavy armor is the main thing at level 3 though for me. Level 7 you get True Grit. You have advantage on saving throws to make or event. You have advantage on saving throws related to the frightened condition, and you are immune to the frightened condition caused by creature types in your Grim. Additionally, when you hit a creature with an attack as part of a reaction, you can choose a frightened creature within 60 feet of you that you can see, and the condition ends on this creature. This one is obviously niche. Frightened is a problematic condition in D&D and is one that some creatures can inflict, but it's not regular enough that it's gonna feel great to get that at level 7, I wouldn't say. Level 10, you also get to terrorize the terrors. Your reputation has become such that the monsters preying on the fearful have come to fear you. When you hit a creature with an attack as part of your reaction, you can force the creature to make a wisdom saving throw or become frightened of you until the next turn. The DC for the saving throw equals 8 plus your int plus your prof. So you are now the thing that is frightening. Level 15 is Deadly Redirect. Your strikes have become even deadlier. The extra damage increases to a 66. In addition, the target that you hit with close quarters has disadvantage on all attack rolls until the end of your next turn. It's a solid damage increase, and it's obviously the disadvantage lasting longer is also good. And level 18 is Controlled Footwork. You are such an effective combatant that you're always in control and never off balance. You can take a reaction twice in a round instead of once. That's really strong, given how much you're using reaction, but it comes at level 18. I wouldn't... So I have 2 main thoughts regarding this. The focus on the frightened thing might make more sense when we get the full campaign guide, or whatever the specific name is, at the end of the month. We're getting that. The rest of the Grim Hollow stuff, which is exciting, and I'll obviously take a look at that when it drops as well. So this might feel better in that specific setting. This does feel like the Monster Hunter. This is the baseline for it. It's not especially fancy. I don't think it's especially interesting. I think it's good. I don't think it's great. I do think the thing I would love to see is that reaction earlier, personally, that extra reaction earlier on, because you're competing for your reaction straight away at level 3 because of, let me find it, Studied Response. Yeah, you can attack a creature that's attacking with your reaction. That combined with this close quarters feature, it just feels like you're fighting with your own reaction, unless your DM is going to give you an item that changes that. I mentioned it before, I believe there's a Hydra Amulet from the Griffin Saddlebag that does that, and obviously you can homebrew something. You're going to be annoyed by your reaction thing. This is like the only subclass I don't love from the Monster Hunter, but I don't have to love all of them. If you like it, let me know. It might just be that I'm missing something. And then the other one that we're doing for the Monster Hunter is Occultist Guild. In Etheris, there are those who fear magic, those who seek to understand it. Monster Hunters from the Occultist Guild know folk from both sides are equally dangerous. An occultist investigates the arcane, the supernatural, and the uncanny while avoiding the influence of superstition or ideology. Despite their reputation as mage hunters, oculuses, occultists don't burn their enemies at the stake. Occultists put them to the sword, as that's what swords are for. I love when the flavor text makes me laugh. Knowledge and magic give occultists an edge over their mystical adversaries. Their spells are used to detect and defend against dangerous arcana, and above all, magic is used to destroy monsters that can't be harmed by steel. Level 3, you get Acolyte to the Occult, you get proficiency in the Arcana skill, and level 3, you also get spell casting. You get 2 wizard cantrips, which you can change one of as you level up, and at level 10 you get a third, and then you get wizard spells, basically. You can only change these spells as you level up, and your intelligence is the main thing. You can also use an arcane focus as your spell casting focus, and then also at level 3 you have advantage on saving throws cast by creatures in your monster grimoire. Additionally, when a creature you can see within 60 feet, if you cast a spell or makes a spell attack, use a studied response against the creature before the spell is cast. So you can stop a spell being cast, potentially. This is all good stuff. There was a comment, I can't remember the person who left it, and I do apologise for this. The comment left on the first one, who mentioned that they would have loved to see a different spell list than the wizard spell list, and I don't disagree. Cleric feels like a natural fit here, or even druidic. I still get what they're going for. I think that it's just that people with the Arcane Trickster, and obviously the Eldritch Knight as well, there's a fair share of these intelligence-based third casters, and even though the Monster Hunter class is intelligence-based anyway, it might have been fun to see this one kind of break away from that. I don't dislike it, but I do think it's a valid point. So, level 7, you get Mage Hunter. You consider humanoids that can cast spells as being a creature in your monster grimoire. Additionally, when you damage a creature in your monster grimoire that's concentrating, it had disadvantage on the saving throw to maintain its concentration. This is a really good feature, especially if you're not playing in a magic-heavy campaign. I don't use that many spell-casting creatures. It doesn't fit in a lot of the fights that I'm running, at least in my current campaign, but it's something that I know a lot of DMs really do like doing, and I generally do like doing otherwise. It's just this particular one I'm running at the moment doesn't have much space for it, so not yet, anyway. But yeah, good feature. Level 10, you get Occult Knowledge. Your knowledge of magic has increased, so you can cast rituals. You can cast any spell as a ritual if that spell has the ritual tag, and it's a spell you have prepared. In addition, you can learn 2 spells of your choice. The spells can come from the Cleric, Druid, or Wizard spell list, or any combination thereof, but the spell must have the ritual tag. When you reach level 14, you can replace one of the spells you know from this feature with another spell of your choice from any spell list. This new spell must also have the ritual tag. I like this. I cannot, off the top of my head, remember how many spells have the ritual tag on them. But, I mean, even if you're just doing Find Familiar, I think this is, like, decent enough. But you can also do things like, obviously, you've got Detect Magic. I believe Identify as a ritual as well. So you've got some really core low-level ones, and then there are a few higher-level ones as well, although none currently come to mind. So it's a fun one. I feel like a lot of it's going to be RP-based, but I don't hate a roleplay feature in a very combat-heavy class at all. Level 15, you get Magical Aegis. You gain the ability to extend a protective charm, basically 20-foot emanation, which is an aura. You and your allies in the aura have advantage on saving throws cast by creature types in your monster grimoire. Now, obviously, this interacts nicely with the one where all spellcasters, or humanoid spellcasters, are naturally in your monster grimoire as well, so you have advantage on all spell saving throws, and so do your allies, which is great. You also have counterspell prepared, and you can do it once for free. That's pretty good. And then level 18, you've got Arcane Response. You have learned to anticipate enemies well enough to rapidly cast spells in response to their attacks. When you use the studied response action, so it's a reaction actually, that's me messing up, not the book. You can cast a spell. The spell must have a casting time of an action and must only target that creature. So you could do a spell, Burning Hands, something like that. No, Burning Hands is a cone, Scorching Rays, but you'd have to target just that creature. It's fun. I think that these two are probably the weaker of the 4 subclasses, but I think Occultist beats out Carver pretty handily. And I do like Occultist. I like the spellcasting subclasses, even if they're only third casters. Yeah, solid stuff. Okay, onto the Barbarian. For Barbarian, we have the Path of the Fractured. Again, lovely artwork. It's just cool. Barbarians are defined by their rage, channeling it channeling it to unleash brief but potent destruction. Few are brave or unwise enough to study esoteric psychological techniques that split their rage from the rest of their psyche, dividing their identity into two parts, the ego and the id. When the ego is controlled, the fractured, as these barbarians are known, possess self-control and cunning beyond most barbarians. They allow their id to take control, the countenance turns monstrous, and their bodies swell with the power of rage made physically manifest. At level 3, you get Face of Rage. When you activate your rage, your countenance distorts and your body swells. Creatures that haven't witnessed your transformation, now or previously, don't recognize you. In addition, while your rage is active, you gain the following benefits. You can roll a 1d8 in place of any normal damage of your unarmed strikes, and when you deal damage with an unarmed strike, it can deal force or its normal type of damage. When you hit a creature with an unarmed strike, you can push it 10 feet or force the creature to make a con save. On a failed save, it becomes prone instead. And you count as one size larger when determining the success of a grapple. When you make an unarmed strike, your reach is 5 feet greater than usual. So basically, you get 1d8 as your unarmed strike, which is a fairly big boost for the barbarian. And I think it actually puts you ahead of the monk at that level, off the top of my head. I could be wrong. You can push creatures 10 feet or make them prone. You don't have to do anything to make them do the con save. You can just do that. There's no expenditure here. And you get an extra 5 feet. So this is a lot of stuff. Just a lot of stuff. And it feels like another barbarian that's just kind of begging for a monk multi-class. I like that feature a lot. You also get the Mask of Civility. You become proficient in one of these skills: Arcana, History, Investigation, Medicine, Nature, Persuasion, or Religion. In addition, you gain proficiency with one type of artisan's tools of your choice, or one language of your choice. I like ribbon features, I like skills, so that's good stuff. Level 6, we get Brains and Brawn. While your rage is not active, you have resistance to psychic damage. While your rage is active, you have resistance to every type except force and psychic. That's really strong. That's really strong. Crikey. Yeah, nothing else to say about that. Level 10, you get Cunning and Brutal. While your rage is not active, you can take the disengage or help action as a bonus action. While your rage is active, your attack rolls and armor strikes score a critical hit on a 19 or 20 on the d20. Solid stuff. And then at level 14, you get Better Half. When you're reduced to 0 hit points and not killed outright, you can drop to 1 hit point instead, and you gain temporary health equal to half your hit point maximum. In addition, if your rage is active, your rage ends. If your rage was not active, you immediately activate your rage, even if you have no remaining uses of your rage. If any of those temporary hit points remain after 1 minute, they vanish. You can only do this once per long rest. This is a heavily incentivized for you to be unarmed strikes. If you're not doing unarmed strikes for this barbarian, you're really not playing it right. You get resistance to just about everything. You get benefits for both your rage and non-rage form, and different play styles as well. This is the Jekyll and Hyde subclass, right? Ultimately, you literally change. That's clearly what they're going for here, and I think they've done it really well. The idea that you can play as a slightly more put together barbarian when you're not raging, and you get all these extra skill proficiencies, and you can disengage or help as a bonus action, so you can help out your friends when you're not raging. It really lets you play that person completely consumed by their rage, who's like afraid of it and they've bottled it away. It's a really cool subclass. I think that's the strongest of the three, actually. Even though I really like the Primal Spirit, and I do really like the Primal Spirit, I realise it's just the Beastmaster, but I like that. So I think this is probably the strongest one, especially as somebody that really likes punching things in games. Right, we are now moving on. Now, this one's a beast. I'm gonna speed through some of these. This is the College of Adventures Bard. Bards from the College of Adventurers learn from the heroes of old and stories of legend. Bards are jacks of all trades, and for the College of Adventurers, this statement rings even truer. They combine all the skills of the companions into one, allowing them to be versatile and supportive while not having a direct goal. Many adventure-studying bards live to tell tales of other heroes or seek to create their own. Stories of great deeds, of desperate cunning, of magical anomalies, and of godly might fuel these bards. At level 3, you get Talented Adventure. You learn an adventurous talent of your choice from the Adventurous Talent Origins section later in the subclass's description. You learn another one at 6 and 14. Level 3, you also get Party Planner. When a creature has Bardic Inspiration from you, it can use a bonus action to take the help action. Now, this is not consuming the Bardic Inspiration die, which means that this is just a permanent thing a lot of the time. It really helps you to kind of pew out your Bardic Inspiration before a fight, basically, so that everyone can do that theoretically. This is good stuff. Level 6, you get Well-Rounded. You gain proficiency with one type of artisan's tools, proficiency in another skill, and you learn another language. And then level 14 is when you finish a long rest, you can change one of your adventurous talents, basically. That's very basic, obviously, so the adventurous talents are important here. I'm going to do the short of this. The Barbarian effectively gives you rage, which you can use, which is cool. It mostly gives you resistance to damage rather than anything else, as long as you're not wearing heavy armor. Gives you the ability to give out temporary hit points, which is not bad at all, and it can choose to lose those temp health to deal extra radiant damage if it wants to. You can do this once per short long rest. Druid gives you the polymorph spell, but you can only do beasts, so basically wild shape. Fighter gives you proficiency with martial weapons and training with shields, and you gain a fighting style for your choice. That might be the strongest one just by the nature of fighters being really good. Monk means that when you're not wearing armor and don't have a shield, your armor class is your dex. It's 10 plus your dex and charisma modifiers, and you can use your dex modifiers for unarmed strikes. You also do a 1d6 instead of the normal amount for unarmed strikes, and after you cast a spell that has the bonus, the casting time of an action, or take the attack action, you can make one attack with an unarmed strike as a bonus action. This is kind of like the College of Dance Bard, just in a feature in another class, which is unfortunate for the College of Dance Bard. Paladin gives you a smite, basically. Ranger gives you Hunter's Mark, because what else could it possibly do? Poor Rangers. Rogue lets you take dash, disengage, and hide as a bonus action. Warlock gives you an Eldritch Invocation, also very strong. Big fan of that. And then Wizard lets you prepare 2 spells from the Wizard spell list of a level that you can cast. They count as Bard spells, but don't count against your prepared spells. When you gain a level in the class, you can choose one of the Wizard spells you prepared and change it with another one. Oddly enough, so you get these at 3, 6, and 14. I would be really tempted to take Fighter at 3, Wizard at 6, and then maybe Warlock at 14. Oh, I didn't go over Sorcerer. Sorcerer gives you meta magic, basically, for free. One meta option for free. I think this is a really cool concept. It's actually one that was done in, I want to say, the original Humblewood book that came to D&D Beyond, which was also a bard and had a very similar kind of vibe. I really like the concept, and it does lean into the whole jack of all trades thing. I think the customization aspects are great. I do think the result is a class that's going to struggle to do anything well. And I think, outside of roleplay, that's something that bards can occasionally end up in anyway. But that's me. I would love to see these features getting stronger as you leveled up. Like maybe once you're level 11, your fighter one gives you an extra attack. Stuff like that, you know? But yeah, I like it. I really like the concept, and I do think the execution is solid. I just think it's a really hard one to balance. And while I do think they've done a relatively good job of balancing here, I do think it comes in slightly under some of the other bard subclasses, in my opinion. What are we doing for the clerics? We're doing Inquisition for the clerics. The Inquisition domain reflects the order of the multiverse and the rejection of tainted magic so far as certain celestial powers see it. Only the divine casters are pure and fit for use. Since arcane magic is strong enough to challenge the gods, divine beings of this domain, known such as the Archseraph Imperius? There we go. Demand magic using mortals be kept in check. Most zealots root out all arcanists, while some strike fragile truces when complete removal isn't feasible. So, level 3, we get Inquisition domain spells. We get See Invisibility, Silence, Dispel Magic, Remove Cursed, Arcane Eye, Locate Creature, Creation, and Hallow. These are all fairly niche spells. I think it's a great spell list, personally. Silence is good, Dispel Magic is always good, Remove Curse is situational. I don't hate having situational spells on the prepared spell lists for subclasses, though. I actually think it's the best place to have situational spells. I think I'd rather see that, because then you can choose the powerful ones yourself, right? Unless it's bringing in spells from other classes, in which case that's also quite nice to see. But that's what I think with it. Here we are. Level 3, you also get Witch Hunter's Strike. When you hit a creature with a weapon attack or unarmed strike, you can deal 1d8 extra force damage to the target. If the creature is concentrating on a spell, you deal an extra 2d8 force damage instead, and this damage goes up to 2d8 or 3d8 when you're at level 14. If the creature fails its saving throw to maintain concentration as a result of taking damage from this feature, you gain temp health equal to the extra force damage dealt. You can do this a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier and regain all uses in a long rest. That's really solid. That's not a channel divinity. That's just a thing that you have. 1d8 extra force damage, 1d8 extra force damage is akin to an extra attack a lot of the time, and 2d8 is better than an extra attack a lot of the time for a lot of clerics. While you could, if you wanted to, take like a lever and fighter to get the nick property and hit multiple times per turn. You could do this on each hit, but you still only have a limited number of these charges per long rest, so I don't think it serves you particularly well to do that, but that is something that you could do theoretically. I also like the fact that it is not limited to melee attacks, so you can be doing the kind of classic witch hunter crossbow thing, which I like. Level 3, you also get spell shield. As a bonus action, you can expend a use of your channel divinity to bestow a temporary resilience against arcane harm for 10 minutes. Choose a creature including yourself within 30 feet of you. The creature gains 10 health equal to 1d10 plus your cleric level. While a creature has this 10 health, the creature has advantage on saving throws against spells, and it has resistance to the damage of spells. If any of these if any of these temporary hit points remain when spell shield ends, they vanish. That's solid. Temp health is good. As it turns out, 1d10 plus your cleric level is decent, and the resistance to damage means you're also less likely to use it, so very strong stuff. At level 6, you get Rebuke Invoker as a reaction in response to a creature you can see within 60 feet of yourself taking the magic action. You can force the creature to make a Constitution saving throw against your spell save DC. On a failed save, the creature takes 1d8 of force damage plus 1d8 per level of the spell slot the creature expended. Cantrips are considered level 1 spells for this ability. On a successful save, the creature takes half as much instead. You can use this feature a number of times to use your wisdom modifier. I mean, that's just good. It's not stopping the spell, which is fine. Although I guess if they've cast a concentration spell, it could stop the spell, because if you deal enough damage with this, they might not be able to save against the damage you've done, which is a lot of fun. And then at level 17, you get your spell shield can target a number of creatures equal to your wisdom modifier. I think this is a really solid subclass. I think it's fairly straightforward. I think it knows what it's doing, and I think it evokes the anti-mage stuff really, really well. So yeah, good stuff. We now have the druid, and it's the Circle of Blood. Circle of Blood is a keeper of the old ways that remember how ancient druids performed sacrificial rituals under a blood-red moon to appease the uncaring forces of nature. These druids trade blood for a life in a delicate balance to bolster their allies and destroy their enemies. At level 3, you get your spells. Blood Rush, Crimson Lash, Sense Lifeblood, Blood Bond, Sanguine Poppet, Circles of Scarlet, Dark Sacrament, Dominate Person, and Mortality. These are primarily the Sangromancy spells from this book, and they require you to expend hit die to use them properly. The Wizard and the Rogue both get Sangromancy die that you can use instead of the hit point die. I don't think this one does, which is a little odd. At level 3, you also get Rite of the Blood Moon. As a bonus action, you can expend a use of your wild shape to adopt the violent savagery of the Blood Moon for 10 minutes. During this time, you gain 10 health equal to 3 times your druid level. Your speed increases by 10 feet, and you can take the dash action as a bonus action. And when you hit a creature with a weapon or an unarmed strike, you deal 1d6 extra necrotic damage to it. This obviously massively benefits more attacks per turn, and it sort of puts you into wanting to do weapon attacks, which is odd. I think the Crimson Lash is a weapon, if I remember correctly. Yes. Crimson Lash lets you make a blood whip, basically, and it has the light, finesse, and reach properties, so you could use a bonus attack action to attack with it, which is cool, and it gets stronger. Oh no, actually, if you use a higher level spell slot, you can make 2 weapon attacks with this weapon when you attack with the attack action, and you can make 3 with a level 5 spell slot. That's such a well-designed spell, and very normal. I went off on a tangent in the last video about Flameblade, about talking about how good it was, and I've read Crimson Lash, but I guess I didn't read the upcasting things because I just thought it'd be damage, and it's not just damage. You get to do cool stuff with it, which is sick. I love it. I'm in love with this spell, and it's a bonus action. Be still, my beating heart. I need to take that on a character. Gonna do that. Anyway, yeah, good stuff. Really, the Violent Strikes wants you to cast Crimson Rite at the highest level possible so that you can deal the extra d6 damage. That's so good. What's interesting is that doesn't stack with extra attack, right? Because when you take extra attack, you can do an extra attack as part of the attack action. This does not add an attack action, it just lets you make 2 weapon attacks instead. So this gives every cast extra attack, effectively, if that's what they want to do. And it's with a weapon that they're proficiency with that does necrotic damage. You can use the spellcasting ability instead of your strength or dex, which is great. And the damage die, yeah, I just think that's great. The damage die is going to be higher on some spellcasters than others. You don't really want the d6 of the wizard here, but it would get a boost to the damage equal to your spellcasting skill modifier, so that's really cool. And it reduces the hit point maximum of the... This is not a Crimson Lash review, I'm reviewing the subclass. Sorry. Level 6 you get Blood Boon. Whenever a creature you can see within 60 feet of you is reduced to 0 hit points, you can take a reaction to claim the last vestiges of its vitality. You can regain 1 spent hit die, which is good, and grant a creature you can see within 60 feet of you temp health equal to your druid level. You can do this a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier. You gain 1 use on a short rest and all on a long rest. This offsets the thing I said about the lack of Sangromancy die. There's also a feat that gives you Sangromancy dice in the book as well, so that is one that you're probably going to want to take with this subclass. It's solid. It can also be you that you're giving the temp health to, so that's good. I still would like to have seen the Sangromancy dice, but it's not the end of the world. Level 10, you get Bloodlust. When your Blood Moon is active, you gain the following benefits. The extra damage increases to 2d6, and then you also have resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. This would mean that if you were using Crimson Lash, for example, I believe it's a d8 dice for the druid, d8 health dice. Should look that up, really, and be certain. Yeah, it's d8 for every spellcaster apart from the wizard. So yeah, you're doing 1d8 plus 2d6 if you're using the Crimson Lash spell, and you can attack 3 times at this level. Yeah, because level 1 is 1 spells, 3 is 2, 5 is 3, 7 is 4, 9 is 5, yeah, so you're doing 3 hits potentially with the Crimson Lash. This isn't the Crimson Lash subclass. This might be the Crimson Lash subclass, guys. It might be. It is in my head. Anyway, you also get Exsanguinate. When you use your Blood Boon, you regain spent hit dice equal to half your druid level and give temporary health equal to twice your druid level, equal to a number of creatures up to your wisdom modifier that you can see within 60 feet of yourself. Once you use this feature, you cannot do so again until you finish a long rest. I am having a real hard time separating my excitement for the Crimson Lash spell from this subclass. Reading this subclass initially, I was really annoyed it did not get an extra attack, because it felt like it should have an extra attack because of the violent strikes thing, right? And that irked me, and I was sad about it. Now that I've read some of the spells, shockingly, it's a lot better. Yeah, I really like that subclass. I like the blood-themed stuff anyway. I got tickets to the MCR gig in the UK. I'm an emo. I'm a goth at heart. Like, I'm covered in tattoos. I have a naturally black hair, and I'm covered in tattoos. So, obviously, this would suit my tastes. So, good stuff. Actually, before we move on, I do think the Druid subclasses might be generally the strongest and potentially the most interesting of the bunch that they've got here. Just really cool overall. Circle of Blood is wonderful. The Entropy one is the special cool explosive thing, and Smites, which I love. I do wish you got more than just one of these, or that you got 2 of these as you leveled up, because it would be really cool to have Weapon Mastery and the Smite, for example. And then the Circle of Mutation is what if the Circle of the Moon was Body Horror, which is great, obviously. Anyway, yeah, go Team Druid. With that done, and me simmering down after the Bloodlash excitement, let's talk about fighters. So we've got the Living Crucible. Fighters who become Living Crucibles have discovered an external means of power. While most fighters train in martial traditions or study the art of war, Living Crucibles hone their craft of alchemy to endure compounds poisonous to others. In exchange for this rigorous physical and mental preparation, these fighters are able to temporarily push their bodies past their natural limits. Under the influence of their alchemical compounds, these warriors can see in darkness, enhance their speed, and inure themselves to magical attacks and more. At level 3, you get Compound Creator. You get multiple features. You learn 3 compounds of your choice from the section below. You gain 2 additional compounds at 7, 10, and 15, and each time you learn a new compound, you can also replace one compound you know with a different one. So that's good. You also get Creating. When you finish a long rest while holding Alchemist supplies, you can use that tool to magically produce any number of compounds. The compounds appear in a vial, and the vial vanishes when the compound is consumed or poured out. If any compound remains when you finish a long rest, the compound and its vial vanish. And then consuming, you can consume a number of compounds up to 1 plus your Constitution modifier as a bonus action. Once you reach this limit, you cannot benefit from more compounds until you finish a long rest. You can consume 1 per bonus action, but you can do as many as you want up to your con plus 1. You can benefit from multiple compounds at the same time, but consuming multiple vials of the same compound does not give an additional effect. Only you can benefit from these. Other creatures must succeed in a con save or have poisoned condition for 1 minute. Level 3, you also get the Student of Alchemy. You gain Alchemist supplies and you have proficiency with it. In addition, your proficiency bonus is doubled for ability checks with the Alchemist supplies. the number of compounds. At level 7, you get Living Cauldron. The number of compounds you can safely consume increases to 3, plus your con mod. It's just a boost of 2, just as a baseline, even if you don't improve your con mod, so that's good. And at level 18, it goes up to 5, plus your con mod. That's really strong. Level 10, you can drink 2 of these as a bonus action. You can end the poisoned condition on yourself. When you end the poison condition in this way, you can choose to gain temp health equal to your fighter level. You regain the ability to gain these temporary hit points after completing a long rest. And then at level 18, whenever you finish a long rest, you can replace a compound with another one you know. So let's look over the compound options, shall we? Okay. Adrenal Injection. For 1 minute, your speed increases by 10 feet. In addition, once on each of your turns, you can jump up to 30 feet by spending 10 feet of movement. You get All Sense Injection. You get Blind Sight up to 30 feet, also for a minute. Arcane Eye Oil. For an hour, you sense the presence of a magical effect within 30 feet of yourself. If you sense such effects, you can take the magic action to see a faint aura around any visible creature or object in the area that bears the magic. And if an effect was created by a spell, you learn the spell school of magic. Basically gives you Detect Magic as a fighter, which is pretty cool. Draft of Bull's Strength. For 10 minutes you have advantage on strength checks and strength saving throws. Draft of Cat's Grace, same for Dex. Draft of Bear's Endurance, same for Con. Draft of Fox's Cunning. Intelligence. Owl's Wisdom is for Wisdom. We didn't even try with that. Although I guess Strength is also Strength. So, and then Eagle Splendor is for Charisma checks. Is Eagle the most charismatic animal here? I mean, I guess it's going for like the standard. I'm getting so sidetracked by my stupid ADHD, sorry. Elf Sight Oil. For 8 hours, you have dark vision within a range of 120 feet. That's solid. Flesh Knit Phosphate. That's just fun to say. For 1 minute, you regain hit points equal to your proficiency bonus at the start of each of your turns if you have at least 1 hit point. That's pretty good. Iron Mind Injection. For 1 hour, you have advantage on saving throws to end the charmed or frightened condition. Liquid Courage, you gain temp health equal to twice your fighter level plus your con mod. If any of the temp health remain after 1 minute, they vanish. Liquid Rage, your attacks with weapons and unarmed strikes deal 1 extra d4 of damage for 1 minute. That's great. Presto Powder. For 10 minutes, you have advantage on initiative rolls, and you can take the dash and disengage action as a bonus action. Spellshine Ointment. For 1 minute, you have resistance to force, necrotic, psychic, and radiant damage. Steelskin Ointment is the same, but for bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing. And then 10 Men Tincture. For 1 hour, you count as 1 size larger when determining your carrying capacity, and when you attack with a melee weapon whose mastery property you can use, you can replace that property with the topple property for that attack. But that's a really solid list of stuff. This is obviously like the Witcher themed subclass, which is funny because that's kind of what Blood Hunters are, but Blood Hunters are real outdated now that the 2024 rules are about, and also with just how far I think third-party writers and designers have come. Not that I've got anything against Matthew Mercer, of course. He's a very incredibly inspired designer. I just think that Blood Hunter is of its age, whereas this, we're in a new age of D&D at the moment. This is cool. It lets you live the dream of taking a bunch of compounds as much as you want. And I think that's a really fun subclass. Monk. What have we got for Monk? Leaden Crown. In contrast to the esoteric ideals of other orders, warriors of the Leaden Crown have practical aims, the self-governance of all people. These monks see history as a series of clashes between groups of powerful beings, where humanoids are at best collateral damage and at worst disposable pawns. To break this cycle of dependence and destruction, warriors of the Leaden Crown master mental abilities to fight against otherworldly powers of the multiverse and protect human sovereignty. One component of this plan involves training to do battle with powerful planar foes. The other equally important component is ensuring that humanoid societies are prepared to overthrow those already dominating them. To that end, these monks seek political positions that place them in or near decision-making roles where they can influence others to fight back against Arcserus and Archdemons and Primordial, the Angi. Sorry, that was really serious, and I just felt the need to say something really stupid at the end of it. Level 3 gets Subtle Hand. Your martial arts are enhanced by a capacity for telekinetic strikes. During your turn, your reach is 5 feet greater with unarmed strikes. In addition, when you hit a creature with an unarmed strike as part of the attack action on your turn, you can choose to have it deal your choice of psychic damage or its normal damage type. Level 3, you also get Psionic Prowess. Your psychic powers have manifested in the ability to cast certain spells. You know the Matrix cantrip, you can do this invisibly without doing it properly, basically. In addition, you can cast spells by expending focus points. You take a magic action and expend 1 focus point to cast Detect Evil and Good or Protection from Evil and Good. You can also take a magic action and expend 2 focus points to cast Hold Person, Levitate, or Shatter. Wisdom is your spell casting ability for these, and you can cast them without material components. I just want to say quickly, the Tattoo Monk from the Unorthodox, which I love the concept of, was terribly designed. This is a much cleaner and simpler design in it, and the spells are better, and it's just at level 3. I'm just saying. But I do want a tattoo monk. Again, covered in tattoos. I literally have a book in there. I have a bunch of martial arts gear to the right of me. Please, make the tattoo monk good. I wish to play a self-insert. But Jason, you're already playing an idiot bard. That is the self-insert. Yes, but like another one. Anyway. Level 6, you also get Unsubtle Strike. I adore the Subtle Hand and Unsubtle Strike thing here. I just love it. Once on each of your turns, when you hit a creature with your Unarmed Strike or Monk weapon, you can force it to make a Strength save against your Focus Point save DC. On a failed save, you can move the target up to 10 feet towards or away from you. It's not bad. That's really underwhelming compared to the other stuff you've gotten so far, but that's fine. Level 11, you get Psychic Crush. Every time you hit a creature with an unarmed strike, it gains a pressure point. A creature loses all pressure points if you do cause a different creature to gain a pressure point, or after 1 minute, whichever comes first. As a bonus action, you can expend 1 focus point to telekinetically crush a creature with 1 or more of your pressure points. The creature loses all pressure points and must make a strength saving throw against your focus point save DC. On a failed save, the creature takes 1d8 force damage per pressure point, and it has the restrain condition until the end of your next turn. On a successful save, the creature takes half as much damage only. Is this the M. Bison subclass? Is that the inspiration for this? Is this M. Bison? Can you do Psycho Crusher? It's called Psychic Crush. Maybe it is. I'm here for it. At level 17, you get Psionic Mastery. After much training, you have mastered the psionic disciplines necessary to defend mortals from planar threats. As a magic action, you can spend 5 focus points to cast Dispel Evil and Good, Hold Monster, Telekinesis, or Wall of Force. Wisdom is your spellcasting modifier for all of these. You can cast them without material components. Those are all really solid spells. I think Telekinesis takes a magic action to do it again, rather than a bonus action. But I guess you can do your bonus action to do Flurry of Blows, so that's kind of fine. Wall of Force is obviously solid. Hold Monster and Dispel Evil and Good are also solid. So that's a good eating, you know? It does exactly what it sets out to do. It's got a wonderful through line in the flavor. I don't know that the flavor text hits all of the things, but then all of the features are generally about getting rid of extra planar beings, which is what the flavor said. So maybe I should shut up from like 10 seconds ago when I said that thing. Yeah, I like it a lot. We get the Plague Paladin. The Oath of Pestilence. Clad in grime-soaked armor and wielding rusting weapons, Oath of Pestilence paladins spread corruption, disease, and filth. Bound by an oath that infests their bodies with all manner of plagues, these heralds of decay lumber forward with unholy toughness and grim resolve. These paladins share the following tenets. Spread plague to foster strength in survivors. There is nothing unnatural or moral about the ending of life. Might makes right. These guys are bad! I think all 3 of these subclasses are kind of evil, which is fun. Apparently it's going to rain soon. Nope, apparently it's going to stop raining soon. I can't read! That should be an issue with this whole thing. Level 3, you get Debilitating Fever. You can inflict disease upon a creature. When you hit a creature with an attack roll using a weapon or unarmed strike, you can expend 1 use of your Tenor Divinity to give that creature the poison condition for 1 minute. While poisoned this way, the target also has the incapacitating condition. At the end of each of its turns, it can make a con save and ends the whole thing on a success. That's pretty good. Also at level 3, you get Entropic Infection. As a magic action, you can expend 1 use of your Channel Divinity and select a creature you can see within 30 feet of you. For 1 minute, if you deal damage to that target, it takes an extra 2d6 necrotic damage. In addition, the target loses resistance and immunity to necrotic damage. The target can make a con save against the Paladin save DC to end this effect on a success. So I like just reading both of these. Both of these have an initial 100% success. Both of these have an initial 100% success chance, and then the spell save comes in. And I like that because Channel Divinity is obviously a limited feature, and it means you don't feel too bad if you mess it up, but it is a magic action, which makes the entropic infection is a magic action, so that's going to be slightly more frustrating, but it's not the end of the world. You also get your spells at level 3. You get Bane, Inflict Wounds, Acid Arrow, Ray of Enfeeblement, Flash Fever, Stinking Cloud, Blight, Confusion, Contagion, and Insect Plague, all very on theme with mixed levels of good. Bane is always good, but I feel like Bless is always better, is the trouble, you know? Anyway. Level 7, you get Aura of Rampant Sickness. You emit an aura of contagion and virulence. When a creature within your aura of protection is about to make a d20 test, you can take a reaction to impose disadvantage on their d20 test. I don't dislike that at all, but most of the aura upgrades at level 7 are just like things that happen. So this not just being I don't know, like permanent bane effect to enemies within your aura, maybe. It makes it feel a bit weaker. Level 15, you get disgusting resilience. When you are reduced to 0 hit points but not killed outright, you can spend any number of hit die, roll them, and reduce the damage taken by the total rolled on those dice. In addition, if you are killed, your corpse explodes into a shower of pus and gore. Each creature in a 20-foot emanation originating from you makes a con save, taking 8d6 necrotic damage on a failed save, or half as much damage on a successful one. I would love for that damage to be based on your hit die, instead of just 8d6. I think that's a really fun feature. Like, I'm not criticizing the feature as such. I just like stuff that levels up with you, because I'm greedy. And then at level 20, you get Plaguebringer. As a bonus action, you gain the benefits below for 10 minutes, or until you end them. You can do this once per long rest, or you can expend a level 5 spell slot. Look, I've done enough of these. At this point, the level 20 form is always the same. Once per long rest, level 5 spell slot to repeat. You get it. So, you get immunity to poison damage and poison condition, and you have resistance to necrotic damage. Your hit point maximum cannot be reduced, and whenever an enemy starts its turn within your aura of protection, it takes necrotic damage equal to your charisma bonus, equal to your charisma modifier plus your proficiency bonus. That's a pretty chunky amount of damage. The immunity to poison condition and poison damage and resistance to necrotic damage, if you can find a way to make a big poison explosion on yourself, that's a really solid feature. Or I guess you can just wade into mass AoE poison spells, and that's fun too. And then no hit point reduction is super situational, but very strong when it is on. So overall, good stuff. On to the Ranger. We're doing another poison one. I accidentally paired up the poison boys. This dude has big Ren Fair energy. I don't know how else to describe this specific art, but he does. I mean, not in a bad way. I feel like I've seen him on YouTube shorts, you know? Anyway, Green Reapers are assassins who specialize in harnessing the toxic elements of flora and fauna. These rangers often work as killers for hire, utilizing their extensive knowledge to end lives discreetly or with gory panache, depending on the poison used and the client's wishes. Green Reapers exhibit a morbid curiosity when encountering a toxin they're unfamiliar with, typically followed by enthusiastic application of the substance on their next foe. They're just curious little boys. They're just little guys. Level 3, you get Envenomed Attack. As a bonus action, you can apply a poison dose to a weapon or to up to 20 pieces of ammunition. Once applied, this poison retains its potency for a minute. Your attacks of the poisoned item deal an extra 1d4 poison damage on hit. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your Wisdom modifier, and you regain all uses on a short or long rest. I would love to also see... So it's always the way you get like a level 3 thing and then it goes up at like a level 11. I would love to always see it going up at level 17, for example, or 15 for the Rangers, I guess, to like another boost. But I'm really critical today. I'm not critical, I'm wish list. Level 3, you also get Toxic Tradecraft. You gain a poisonous kit, you have proficiency with it. In addition, your PB is doubled for ability checks with it. If you lose the kit, you can make it again. Once per turn, when you deal poison damage to a creature with a weapon attack, have an itchy nose, you can expend a spell slot. No action required. The attack deals 1 extra d6 poison damage, and they gain the poison condition until the next turn. You may also add a toxin effect chosen from the list below. All toxin effects last until the end of your next turn, unless its description states otherwise. You're obviously always best using a lower level spell slot for this, because it doesn't go up with your spell slot level. It is not a smite. You also get your spells. Detect poison and disease, obviously. Hold person, bestow curse, greater invisibility, and cloud kill. A whole person, banging. Detect poison and disease is so niche. I think I've said this a few times about spells being too niche, but like if you're a DM and your players are choosing subclasses with super niche stuff, you should be playing to that. There's a reason they chose that class. They want to live that fantasy, and it does nothing to your game to include elements that pander to that. There's nothing wrong with pandering to your players. You're all meant to be having fun, and yeah, I always like to see my players succeed on the stuff that they want to succeed at. It's part of the joy of it. Level 7, you get Poison Control. You get resistance to poison damage, advantage on the poison condition. In addition, you can cast the Protection from Poison spell without expending a spell slot. You can do this a number of times equal to your Wisdom modifier, and you regain all uses on a long rest. Level 11, you get, and I'm not certain of the pronunciation on this, Variegated Vexations? Vexation's not the issue. Variegated, I guess? Variegated? This happened the other day as well with the Stolen. I changed it to Stolen. I don't know. Whenever you would deal poison damage with a weapon attack, you can change that damage to either acid or necrotic instead. I cannot stress enough that that's really important, because poison is resisted by so many undead, nearly all the undead, nearly all of the fiends. That is a lot of creatures. So being able to get around that with acid and necrotic instead is very cool. And then at level 15 you get pain tolerance. You have learned to quickly inure yourself against harm immediately before you take damage from a creature you can see within 60 feet of yourself. You can take a reaction to gain temp health equal to the damage you take. So you just don't take damage. That's cool. Wait, what? There's no usage restriction on that. You can just do that every turn at level 15. What else are rangers doing with their reaction? Opportunity attacks? That's probably about it, right? Unless you're taking 2 levels of Monster Hunter to get the studied response attack, which sounds great, actually. Actually, that sounds great. Yeah, I mean, that's really cool. Let's look at the spell effects. This is it. I'm stupid. That's the 3rd or 4th time I've said that in this video. The toxic effects are based on the spell slot that you have expended. So although the damage does not go up, the 1d6 damage from the earlier feature, the thing that you can do does. A level 1 spell slot, you can choose one of the following effects to add to the toxin. You can do Attenuate. While the creature has the poison condition from its toxin, it has disadvantage on strength and dex saves. Befuddled. While it's poisoned, it can't speak, read, write, and it has disadvantage on concentration. Uncoordinated. While it's poisoned, it can't take reactions or the disengage or dodge action. Not the dog action. Can't become dog. I mean, some creatures can. Why am I so ADHD today? What's gone on? It's because I'm hit the hour mark at recording. Doesn't explain any of the earlier instances, but... Level 2! Debilitate. For 1 minute, the creature can't regain hit points. This isn't when they're poisoned. This is just generally. 1 minute for potent. They lose resistance to poison damage. That's solid stuff. And suffer each time the creature takes poison damage, it takes an extra 1d6 poison damage. That's good stuff. Level 3, Lingering. Instead of ending at the end of your turn, the poison condition lasts for 10 minutes. During that time, it has disadvantage on saving throws to end the condition, and it must, at the end of each of its turns, it can make a con save against the poison condition. Go away. Supernatural. When you deal damage to a creature with a poisoned item, the creature loses immunity to the poison condition, and then has the poison condition for 1 minute. At the end of its turns, it can make a con save to end that. Level 4, you can do Flesh Eating. For 1 minute, the creature has the poison condition. While a creature has the poison condition from this toxin, it takes 2d6 acid damage at the start of its turn. That's very spicy. Insensate. While a creature has the poison condition from this toxin, it is also blinded and deafened. That's really strong. Paraplegia. While a creature has poison condition from this toxin, its speed is reduced to 0 and has disadvantage on dex saves. And then at level 5, you can choose Enhanced. You can choose any option from the level 4 spell slot effects list and add an additional option from level 1 or level 2 spell slot list. That's cool. And then you've also got Stinging Application. For 1 minute once per turn. When you hit a creature with a poisoned item, the attack deals an extra 5d6 damage. This can be acid, necrotic, or poison. I think this is a really well designed ranger subclass. I think this is a really well designed poison subclass, and I think it's just good old fashioned fun. So yeah. Good work. Right. There's so much shared space between the Crooked Moon and the Grim Hollow stuff, so this is another rogue that focuses on curses and whatnot. The Misfortune Bringer. You've matched your for illicit activities with the ability to mark your enemies for mishap and misfortune. Whether you were imbued with magic by spending time among the Fae, or you learned the art of cursing from a long line of hedge wizards, you are a Misfortune Bringer. Although not universal, many Misfortune possess heterochromia iridium, eyes of 2 different colours, and they use only one when glaring at targets when they intend to curse. There are some jokes I could make that I'm not going to make, that your brain will have also gone to, having heard heterochromia. Level 3, Evil Eye. You can place a minor curse with a glance. As a bonus action, choose a creature you can see within 60 feet of yourself to be cursed by your evil eye. When a creature is cursed like this, you can deal sneak attack damage to the creature, even if just as long as you don't have disadvantage. It lasts for a minute or until you curse a different creature. Cool, that's good stuff. Level 3, you also get Misfortune. You learn Misfortunes you can inflict on those cursed by your evil eye. You learn 2 of your choice, and you learn another one at 9, 13, and 17. On a long rest, you can replace one with a different one. You get 4 Jinx points, an extra 2 at level 13. To use a Misfortune option, you must spend Jinx points on it. You get all these back on a short or long rest. And your saving throws are... Oh, this is fun. If a Misfortune requires a saving throw, the DC is 8 plus your Charisma or Intelligence modifier, plus your Proficiency bonus. That's great. I love that lets you either play the Smart Rogue or the Charismatic Rogue. I don't know why it doesn't let you play the Wisdom Rogue. I don't know why that isn't just all 3 of them. I feel like it could have just been all 3 of them. But I really like that as a design space, so strong work. Level 9, you get Steal Luck. When a creature you can see within 30 feet of yourself is about to make a d20's test with advantage, you can take a reaction to prevent the roll from being with advantage. When you do so, you regain 1 expended Jinx point. Once you use this feature, you cannot do so again until you finish a short or long rest. Curse Caster, you can take a magic action and spend 3 Jinx points to bestow Curse. Simple enough. And at level 17, you get Improved Steal Luck. You get You can do it 3 times instead of once, and you get all uses back on a long rest. So you only get 1 use back on a short rest, then, by that logic. It's not explicitly stated, but yeah, that makes sense. The Misfortunes, here we go. Curse of the Befuddled. How many of these we got? We got some. We're going to get through them. We've done all the other ones. This is the final video. The final video. Curse of the Befuddled. As a magic action, choose a creature you can see within 60 feet of yourself that is cursed by your evil eye, and spend 2 jinx points. The target must make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, the target is charmed for 10 minutes, or until you or your allies damage it. When it ends, it knows it was charmed. All of these have, after you use this Misfortune, the creature is no longer cursed by your evil eye. So that's really more of a roleplay one, but that's not a bad thing. Curse of the Clumsy. When a creature cursed by your evil eye moves at least 5 feet on its turn, you can spend a reaction and spend 3 points to give it the prone condition and make its speed 0 until the end of its turn. Very cool. Curse of the Debilitated. When a creature cursed by your evil eye takes damage, you can spend a reaction and 1 point to roll 1d12. It takes extra damage equal to the roll. Curse of the Doomed. When you miss an attack against a creature with the evil eye, you can take a reaction and spend 1 jinx point to re-roll the attack. You must use the new roll. Curse of the Fearful. As a magic action, you can choose a creature within 60 feet of yourself that is cursed by your evil eye. You'd spend 2 points. They make a wisdom save. On a failed save, the creature has the frightened condition for a minute. Makes a save at the end of his turns, all that classic stuff. Curse of the Inept. After a creature you can see that is cursed by your evil eye makes a d20 test, you can take a reaction and spend 1 jinx point to make the target re-roll. It must use the new roll. You've got like lucky basically built into this. For both you and your foes. Also, the word evil eye is meaningless. I've said it too many times now. Curse of the Insensate. As a magic action, creature cursed by evil eye, 3 jinx points, wisdom saving throw, blinded and deafened for a minute, makes a save each turn. Curse of the Maimed. When you hit a creature cursed by your evil eye with an attack roll using a weapon or unarmed strike, if you roll a 19 on the d20, you can take a reaction and 2 points to score a critical hit. Not bad. Curse of the Marked. As a bonus action, you can spend 2 points to increase the duration of your evil eye to an hour, or until you mark a different creature. Additionally, while a creature is affected by this curse, you always know the direction and distance to the creature, while the two of you are on the same plane of existence. That's a really fun one. Curse of the Plague. When a creature you can see that is cursed by your evil eye would gain hit points, you can take a reaction and spend 1 jinx point to halve the number that they would gain, and they cannot gain hit points until the start of your next turn. Curse of the Somnolent. As a magic action, choose evil eye, spend 3 points, make wisdom save, on failed save, unconscious for 1 minute. Repeat save if take damage, or if someone within 5 feet shakes them. Creatures that don't sleep, such as elves or those that have immunity to the exhausting condition, automatically succeed on the saves against this Misfortune. Curse of the Unlucky. As a bonus action, you can spend 3 points to put a pox on a creature cursed by your evil eye. Whenever the creature is about to make an attack, roll, or saving throw, you can roll 1d4 and subtract the number from the total. It's a bit like Bane, basically. It's an interesting list of curses. I think they're all really thematic. I like it. I don't love it. I think it's doing what it's meant to do. I think considering intent is always really important when reviewing subclasses, and I think that this hits the specific fantasy that it's going for really, really well. I'm not that into that specific version of this fantasy. That's all. Yeah. Apocalypse Sorcery. For the Sorcerer. Apocalypse Sorcerers have seen the shape of things to come. They may have visions of the great beast ushering in the end of Etheris, or dreams of Gormadraug waking and devouring the land. Sometimes he's just a bit hungry, you know? That's fine. These prophecies besiege Apocalypse Sorcerers, plaguing and empowering them in equal measures. Some find relief in putting these revelations into writing, producing texts and read as incoherent, but slowly seep into the mind as sensible, even inevitable. When the Apocalypse Bringer is freed to travel across Etheris unburdened, undoing the works of gods and men, magic will swell and pool ripe for the taking. The sign of the end is also their gift. Level 3 spells. Comprehend languages, Hellish Rebuke, Ray of Enfeeblement, Bestow Curse, Revivify, it's always nice to have, Banishment, Divination, Contagion, and Insect Plague. This is another one where the flavour of the spells is absolutely bang on, but the strength of the spells is a little wibbly. Also at level 3 you get Unhinged Servations. I was going to say assertations or dissertations. You are obsessed with documenting your visions. You gain proficiency with calligraphers, supplies, and you can create spell scrolls in half the time and at half the cost in gold pieces. In addition, when you create a spell scroll, you can ensorcel it. When you ensorcel a spell scroll, you must expend a spell slot equal to or greater than the spell's level. You can spend sorcery points to apply one of your metamagic options. Any creature that knows at least one language can use your ensorcelled spell scroll, which casts the spell with the benefit of the metamagic option you choose. The spell scroll remains ensorcelled until you use it or until you finish a long rest. I like that a lot. I think spell slots, I like letting my players use spell scrolls like you can in Baldur's Gate 3, where anyone can use them, because I don't think it breaks the game to have someone spend an action to do a spell scroll, in my opinion. So some of that wouldn't be a huge benefit in my specific campaigns, but they would still get the meta magic option with that, which is great. Level 6, you get a Bear Witness. You have prepared for your entire life for the end of the world. While your innate sorcery feature is active, you gain the following benefits. You get resistance to force damage. Once per active sorcery, as a bonus action, you can use a spell scroll that has the casting time of an action, and you get immunity to the frightened condition. That's pretty solid. Also at level 6, you get Arcane Apocrypha. Your obsessive reflections on the end of existence inspire your writing. Whenever you finish a long rest, you can create a spell scroll at no cost. It must be a spell of level 5 or lower that you can cast. The spell scroll disintegrates when you finish a long rest. We love a free spell scroll, especially with the free bonus casting. That's very cool. This is also, you just get this when you have innate sorcery, and theoretically as a sorcerer, you will always have your innate sorcery on. And then level 14, you get Forbidden Magic. The end of Etheris is a time when magic is unbound and magical powers long hidden are unearthed. When you cast a sorcerer spell using a spell slot, you can use one option below. If the spell requires a material component with a cost, you can cast the spell without the material component. You take force damage equal to 4 times the level of the spell slot immediately after you cast it. This damage ignores resistance or immunity. That's good if you've got Revivify, for example, but you don't have the diamond. I feel like that might be the main thing here, but that's really cool. Inexorable. Taking damage can't break your concentration on the spell. When the spell ends, you gain 1 exhaustion level. And Pyric, I think. If the spell requires an attack roll, the spell automatically hits and the attack roll is a crit. Your hit point maximum is reduced by an amount equal to 4 times the level of the spell slot immediately after you cast it. This comes back at a long rest. I really like those a lot. You can do those as many times as you want, but they're all at great cost to yourself. And I think that's a great deal. I think that's just really, I really like it. Okay. Level 18, the final feature here is The End is Nigh. You loudly proclaim what will come to pass when the world ends. As a magic action, you describe the end of days. When you do so, each creature of your choice within a 30-foot emanation originating from you must make a wisdom save against your spell save DC. On a failed save, they take 6d6 psychic damage, 6d6 force damage, and become frightened for a minute. On a successful save, they take half as much damage only. Fire increasing can reduce the thing to blah blah blah. If this damage reduces a creature to 0 hit points, the creature can only be revived by true resurrection or a wish spell. You can do this once per long rest, or you can spend 6 free sorcery points to get it back again. That's really cool. It's very thematic and flavorful. I think that's a really good subclass. Sorcerers are already really good, and I think leaning into their innate sorcery is a very logical design space to play around in much the same way that you play around with Rage in the Barbarians. So yeah, good stuff. Oh man. Warlock. We have the Coven. Hags dwell in deep places of Etheris, from the primordial forest of Valaka to the putrid streets of these creatures, though rarely benevolent, are willing to bargain with mortals in exchange for furthering their own capricious goals. Warlocks often find themselves with a single hag as a sponsor. Should this hag have a coven, it can lead to the peculiar situation of warlock agents acting against other hags or their warlocks without the coven, but such is the politics of the realm of faerie. Level 3, you get your coven spells. You get Hold Person, Identify, Locate Person, Ray of Sickness, Bestow Curse, Counterspell, Phantasmal Killer, Polymorph, Divination, Locate Creature, Contact Other Plane, and Scrying. Those are all perfect spells for a hag coven. Good stuff. Again, I don't think that's that strong, but I mean Counterspell's pretty decent, so no complaints there. Less decent on a warlock due to the limited spell slots. Anyway, level 3, you also get Hag's Eye. As an agent of a hag, you've been gifted with a magical item known as a Hag's Eye. Crafted from a real eye and fitted into a ring, pendant, or other accessory, this item can be an arcane focus for your spells. The hag can see through the eye, and the destruction of the item can cause the hag actual pain, so any pawn who loses his talisman often invokes the Hag's Ire. When you possess the Eye, you can cast Hex a number of times equal to Charisma modifier, minimum of once, without expending a spell slot. You regain all uses of this on a long rest. Additionally, when you reach level 10, you can use the Eye to cast Bestow Curse once without spending the spell slot, and you regain the ability to do so once you finish a long rest. Is this the Hexblade, but with flavour? Huh. Level 6, you get Hag's Guile. Hags delight in deceiving and manipulating others. You gain some of their skill in doing so. You know the Minor Illusion cantrip. If you already know it, you learn a different warlock cantrip of your choice. That sentence there, if you already know it, that should be in every single thing that gives you a cantrip or a spell or anything else. You should always have, if you have this thing, gain a different thing that's equal to it every single time. Anything that doesn't do that is completely and utterly gutting your build in earlier levels. The cantrip does not count against your known cantrips. Additionally, if a creature takes a study action to examine an illusion you've created, you can take a reaction to impose disadvantage on the check. Also, the first time a creature takes a study action to examine an illusion spell you have cast and succeeds on the intelligence check, the investigation check, you can cause the illusion to deal psychic damage. The damage equals 1d6 plus 1d6 per level of the spell. Well, the spell slot used to cast the spell. So that's cool. You can do damage a number of times equal to your charisma modifier. You gain all uses of this on a short or long rest. That's a really neat feature. Level 10, you get Hag's Visage. As a magic action, you twist your face into a horrifying mask resembling your hag patron. It lasts for a minute, but it ends early if you dismiss it. No action required or have the incapacitated condition. While this effect lasts, you gain the benefits listed below. You can do this once per long rest. The Horrifying Gaze. As a bonus action, you choose one humanoid that you can see within 30 feet of you. Wisdom save or be frightened for a minute. They can make the save each turn. A creature that can see you has disadvantage on the save. Paralyzing Gaze. As a magic action, 30 feet. Wisdom save, or paralyzed. On a successful save, the creature takes necrotic damage equal to your warlock level. It is no longer frightened, and it can't... Okay, so you can only do that on a frightened creature. I really balked that, sorry. Death Gaze. As a magic action, choose one humanoid you can see that within 30 feet of you that has the paralyzed condition. The creature must make a wisdom saving throw with the advantage against your spell save. With advantage against your spell save, or be reduced to 0 hit points. On a successful save, the creature takes necrotic damage equal to twice your warlock level. It is no longer paralyzed, and it can't be targeted by your Hag's Visage again until you finish a long rest. So you can only do this once per long rest, but they kind of work on from each other. I guess you just need other people to be working together. I mean, that fits the Coven theme really nicely, right? So I don't dislike that. And then at level 14, you get Hag's Craft. The Hag imparts knowledge to craft 2 magic items. You can temporarily turn a normal vessel into a Hag's Cauldron by expending a spell slot. The magical cauldron lasts for 10 minutes, and during that time you can take the magic action to pour out 3 common, 2 uncommon, or 1 rare potion. These potions lose efficacy at the end of your short or long rest. You regain this ability in a long rest. Additionally, when you finish a long rest, you can expend a spell slot and imbue a gemstone worth at least 10 gold pieces, turning it into a minor heartstone. This magic item grants the bearer immunity to the poison condition and the ability to cast Blink once without expending a spell slot. The magic within the gemstone fades within 24 hours, and the gem crumbles into dust. That's a really interesting feature. It's a really interesting subclass. I don't think it's that strong. I always end up feeling like that at the end of Warlock things. I think I might be missing the point of Warlocks when I'm just looking at subclasses. I mean, they get so much from the class, thanks to Eldritch Invocations and stuff. I really do like that. I like the through line here very, very much. And the illusion thing's really interesting as well. So yeah, cool. Alright, final subclass from this truly immense book, and it's another poison boy. I didn't mean to group all of these together, but here we are. We have the Plague Doctor Wizard. Blending spellcasting with science, you distill your magic into concoctions that harm or heal. Plague Doctors often wear grotesque masks, protecting them from their toxic ingredients. Many fearfully regard the mask as a sign of pestilence, making Plague Doctors both a source of hope and trepidation. At level 3, you gain Potion Craft. You gain proficiency with the medicine skill and proficiency with the herbalism kit and alchemist supplies. Additionally, you've learned to create magical potions. With 10 minutes of work, when you finish a long rest or short rest, you can prepare magical potions if you have a herbalism kit or alchemist supplies. When you do so, you must expend a level 1 spell slot for each potion you create, and choose a spell from your spellbook that only targets 1 creature. The chosen spell must be of an equal or lower than the level of the expended spell slot. As a bonus action, a creature can drink one of these potions, or administer it to another creature within 5 feet of it. When a creature consumes... It doesn't say willing creature, so that's interesting. When a creature consumes the potion, it becomes the target of the spell as if you'd cast it, and if it requires concentration, the creature that consumes the potion concentrates on it. This allows you to hand out haste to multiple creatures while with them concentrating on it. So that's really cool. Good medicine at level 3. Also, when you craft a potion, you can choose to expend a spell slot without choosing a spell to craft a dose of good medicine. As a bonus action, you can drink the dose or administer it to another creature within 5 feet of yourself. When it's consumed, roll a number of d8 equal to the level of the spell slot expanded, and the target regains hit points equal to the roll's total. If you expend a level 3 or above its spell slot on this, it also removes the poison condition. Level 6, you get bad medicine. When you do this, you can do the same thing of spinning a spell without choosing a spell slot without choosing a spell to make bad medicine. This then gives the creature the poison condition, halves their speed. They take an extra 1d4 of damage each time they take damage each turn. They take 1d6 damage each time they take an action, bonus action, or reaction, and the creature takes acid damage equal to the level of the spell slot expended at the start of each of its turns. As a magic action, you can hurl this medicine at a point you can see within 30 feet of you. Creatures within 10 feet of this point must make a con save against your spell save DC. On a failed save, the target suffers the chosen effects for 1 minute. Oh, I see. You choose one effect per level. I don't know if I said that. On each of its turns, the target can repeat the save, ending the effect on a success. That's really interesting. Breathe it in, level 10. Being persistently exposed to the deadliest ailments known has given you some small measure of resistance. After you take necrotic or poison damage, you gain temp health equal to the damage taken. In addition, you're immune to the poison condition. And then finally, at level 14, you have Medicinal Master. When good medicine restores hit points to a creature, that creature gains 2d8 additional hit points. When bad medicine deals acid damage to a creature, they take 2d8 extra acid damage. Additionally, target creatures have disadvantages on their saving throws. I like that a lot. It kind of has the... I mean, it is a Plague Doctor, but you get to be a wizard at the same time. It's hard to argue with that, right? It's very alchemy themed. I like it a lot. And with that, we have defeated the Player's Guide subclass at the very least. There's still, in amongst this book, I cannot stress enough how much stuff is in this book. The book still has feats, weapons, advanced weapon masteries, loads of spells, different species, which are customizable, not in D&D Beyond, obviously, because it doesn't quite work that well, transformations, information on factions and magic, and some of the lore. There's curses as well. There's a lot of stuff in this book. It's just a fantastic book. Between this, The Crooked Moon, and there's another one that I can't remember. Anyway, specifically, between this and The Crooked Moon, this has been an absolute stellar year for third-party content. I apologise to whichever book it is that I've forgotten that came to D&D Beyond. I'll remember later, probably. The Valda stuff. The Gunslinger. I really like The Gunslinger. Anyway, it's been a really, really good year so far for D&D 2024 on D&D Beyond. I adore this book. I would recommend it to just about everyone, and I'm really excited to see what kind of stuff we can expect in the campaign. The DM one, basically, to see what else we're getting there. I'm excited to see some of the monsters. I always like having more monster options. Yeah, so I look forward to a review of that at the end of the month. I will continue doing other reviews as and when. I was going to do the Anna stuff. I think it's a bit late at this point, and that's fine. Do let me know if there's anything else you want to see. I'm going to start doing some build guides, because I've got some really fun ideas for them. And I'm just generally going to be tweaking how I'm doing things on the channel with the interviews, probably moving to an as and when basis as opposed to a weekly basis. And I've put it in a video now, so I sort of have to listen to it. Anyway, if you enjoyed this, I am slowly approaching the 1,000 subscriber mark. I would just adore it if you would subscribe to the channel. The 1K is a big deal for YouTubers, and myself, I'm obviously included in that. Also, if you like the video, like it, share it, drag people to come and watch it. Always appreciated. But until next time, do take care. I will see you all when I see you all. Goodbye.